personal aspects. So the first question would be
Mm-hmm.
can you just tell us about your journey 5 years back till the present day?
I mean, sure. I mean, in 2018 Jan, what was I doing? I was preparing for IIT Jam,
Mhm.
Masters in Statistics, and then I qualified it, but didn't get a rank to
Mhm.
get into Masters in Statistics in IIT Bombay or Kanpur.
Mhm.
So then I was left with few other universities to go for Masters in Statistics. But
Mhm.
one of my teacher, my mentor, he said, data science is the thing to go to, and I'm glad that I took that decision. So I joined St. Joseph's in 2018, and then yeah, I mean 2 years were here, and after that I started working for Federal Bank. After Federal Bank, I started doing this masters, and now I'm currently working as a data scientist at in the Würth group. So I mean that has been the journey.
How is the work life different from Germany and India? And between two countries, where do you find more convenience in working as a data analyst and why?
Well, both of the countries have their pros and cons, obviously. But if we are just talking about the work culture, or obviously the Germany is a first world country where labor laws are very strictly defined and followed. And so work life balance, work culture is definitely better in Germany, right? And also, I mean, I cannot probably compare it right now. It has been like what? I've been working there for what, like 4 months now, four and a half months almost, because before that I was studying there.
Okay.
And so it might be also a little early to comment on that, but my company, my team, I can definitely say amazing people,
Mhm.
amazing work life balance. They do really care about employees. Okay, one difference I can probably tell you about something funny incident. So I got sick and I messaged my managers today. I'm not be able to work because I'm not feeling so great. And where should I apply for the sick leave? And he's like, what is that? And I'm like, should I apply for the sick leave somewhere?
Mhm.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there are sick leaves. Like, if I'm sick, I'm going to take a leave
Mhm.
and I'm going to apply for that.
Mhm.
He's like, Akhil, I don't know what you're saying. We don't apply for any leaves when we are sick. And I'm like, okay, wow. He's like, you're sick, you don't want to work, you just drop me a message. That
Mhm.
is okay.
Mhm.
And then I went on to tell him that in India, there's a fixed quota of sick leaves that you can take.
Mhm.
And he really laughed on that, saying that, so you can only be sick for a fixed amount of time,
Yes.
right? So he found it very funny. So these are sort of differences in corporate environment there.
Mhm.
Also things like there is unemployment insurance, which I think is there in India also as well.
Yes.
But like for example, if you're sick more than 6 weeks,
Mhm.
okay, if you're sick more than 6 weeks, that
Mhm.
means you're not able to, if you're and then you are not able to work, then your insurance company pays your salary.
Yes.
Till that time your employer pays your salary.
Mhm.
So there is no quota of sick leave and stuff like that. So that is one major difference. People really respect their work life there. I mean, in India there are few things which are sort of glorified, that for how long can you stay back in the office and work. That is somehow seen as a sign that how much dedicated of an employee you are,
Mhm.
which is a very toxic culture to promote,
Got it.
right? So but India has its own circumstances, its
Mhm.
own challenges and struggles. I think we are trying to do it, but we are trying to tackle them, but it is not always the case. So that's the thing. On the other hand, in India, I mean, in terms of technical acumen, people are, at least in software, you find a lot of people who are doing this and are really good. So, on the other hand, in Germany, what I see, most of the people are tend to do more of business and strategy kind of work a lot more and work, in that direction.
Mhm.
And in India, people are just more technical that way. I mean, this is
Understood.
just a personal difference that I saw. I mean, I have seen Germans who are very technical, much more technical than I have met people in India.
Mhm.
But also, I've seen people in India who are much more business thinking like, and very, strategic thinking and that management kind of work. Yeah, I mean, these things exist,
Understood.
everywhere.
And our next question is, how has your organization managed and secured the large amount of data being analyzed?
Right. I mean, Würth has the largest sales force in the world.
Mhm.
right? So we have a lot of salesmen and working there. So and salesmen, what they do sales. So we have different softwares through which we capture data, right? So we have CRM, we have ERP, and stuff like that. All of that data is then sent to a centralized data lake, and on data lake we use Spark to do all the computing that we need to do, or analysis or machine learning. So we have systems like ERP, CRM, and data lake. This is how we handle big data.
Next segment would be on actuarial science. So, can you throw us some insights on the actuarial science course?
Oh yeah, for sure. That is ancient history. I'm surprised how you got to that. But when I was graduating from class 12, I was sure that I didn't want to do engineering, and I was proactively looking for what I wanted to do, and actuarial seemed what I wanted to do. And I started writing exams at that time. I remember me and my friend at that time were the youngest people who have written actuarial exam, and we got banned from the organization for 1 year. We can't write exams because we signed the wrong declaration. At that time we were not class 12th pass, and declaration said, "Oh, we are class 12th passed," but we were in, I think, April or something, and May was our result, right? So we said, yeah, we are going to pass, but that was not the case. And later on, the organization also changed that declaration. I am either graduating 12th this year or later on, but I remember I was not able to write exams for 1 year. After that, I wrote exams. I wrote exams in financial mathematics, probability, and statistics. I wrote in contingencies and things like that. Actuarial science, I used to like actuarial science a lot because it is difficult. It is not easy. Each paper takes discipline and some amount of technical mathematics and statistics to pass that exam. And each exam, you can imagine, is bigger than your each subject that you have in a semester, right? And then you are in college and you're doing that as well, right? And another thing that makes actual science very difficult and interesting is that it is from diverse field, right? The level one of actual science, the core technical papers, there used to be, there were, I remember, 8 papers, if I'm not wrong. It's been, a lot of years. Maybe now the papers and titles have changed, but papers ranged from financial mathematics, financial accounting, probability and statistics, business economics, financial economics, insurance mathematics, advanced statistical modeling, right? And there was no single person who is good at all of these things. But if you do pass all of these actual exams, you have a very good depth of each of those subjects, and also a very good breadth. I mean, I loved actual material. I mean, the reason I fell in love with statistics and then went to data science was about actual material. The material is so well written and for math and everything. And my statistics foundation became very strong from there. Even after that, whenever I have taught, I have used that material proactively to teach my students from that. Okay. Right? So it's definitely a very good course. But in India, the kind of job, the first job I was getting after my BSc, I was not very excited about it. And then I realized actual science doesn't have a lot of scope in India for the kind of things I want to do. And my actual teacher, who was that person after BSc who gave me this advice: go, don't join masters in statistics, and don't do actual science, go do data science. So I'm very glad that I listened to him.
Thank God. Yes. So the next question on business aspects of data science would be like, what is management analytics and what does it entail?
Right. I even I don't understand. It's very new. I can tell you why I wanted to do it. I can tell you how my professor at the person, the program coordinator, the professor who's responsible for the program defined it. And I can also tell you how, as a master's in big data analytics, a technical person, for me, what is the takeaway, right? So, first thing was, how did my professor define it? So, he said management analytics is just about solving those business problems where management wants to make decisions. So it is using data driven processes just to solve those problems, the decisions which management want to take, right? That was his answer. And then what it mean for me? What was the difference, right? For me, as a technical person, when I'm doing machine learning, I'm always, for example, caring about accuracy, right, of my machine learning models. And What management analytics essentially taught me is to how to calculate the financial impact of that accuracy, right?
Got it.
And that is what matters in business, right? Nobody cares what accuracy you achieve. 87, 89 can be a long road to go, right? Can be a lot of effort. But does it financially make sense?
Understood.
Right? It helped me with a lot of the mindset about data science, which problems to solve now for business, which problems not to, what to focus on, right? I mean, for example, it also helps you choose the right metric that you want to optimize your machine learning model for, right? I mean, if you're aware about how classification algorithm work, I mean, you have this confusion matrix at first, and you have then precision and recall. What does precision mean for you in that context? What does recall means for you in that context? For example, at Würth, in sales analytics, precision directly translates. So we have sales reps, right? And our organization, the strategy is that sales rep add that human touch to the client, which machines cannot. And we don't want to replace our sales reps with machines ever, right? They are bread and butter sales reps. And we instead want to augment their decision making with insights that we get from machine learning, right? So now you see the difference. If there is a regular technical guy who he might find this argument very stupid, right? But this is the business strategy that I want, right? Then there is a lot of friction there with technical people otherwise here. So this is what I learned, that this is what business wants to do, and you have to solve the business to do better this problem. You don't change the problem, right? Just because you cannot understand it or solve it. Then, for us, for example, precision directly translates to the kind of trust the sales rep would have in our recommendations, for example, right? And recall in our case would, let's say, translate to how much money that we are going to make. And both of these things have trade-off, right? So then for in one of the exercise, I for my all of my models, I calculated the money that I'm going to make and the trust I'm going to lose, or the trade-off, and see which trade-off is I'm able to do, is okay with me in business sense. So that is an example of the kind of thinking that you proceed from technical to business like, right? And still using machine learning and stuff like that. So that was one of my takeaway. And other takeaway obviously is that data science is just a way to solve business problems, right? So essentially one important question is that, first, do you need data science to solve that question? Or and then go, do you need machine learning to solve this problem, or are there better ways, or is it overkill? Are you trying to kill a mosquito with a missile, right? So those things, right? It does tell me about, for example, if my data scientists are working to get 2% more accuracy, is it worth it? Or is it okay to what we have right now? Because in status quo, we might not have anything. Maybe we are very, very mature, and that at that time, 2% would make a lot of difference, and difference in the sense of revenues, not anything else. So in business, people pay you to do data science because it makes them money. So that is what you are thinking there, like how to do data science so that it makes money, not just it satisfies your scientific curiosity, right? So that is the difference that you get. And then it's always about getting stakeholders onboarded. So you really need to break down these complex data science jargons and use cases for them so that they can understand what you're trying to do there, right? So that is another part. So how do you convince stakeholders? Because if they are not on board, this project will never happen, right? So those are the parts there. So basically, you learn a lot about strategy and how to make money for your organization. This is what you learn.
Got it. Clearly explained. Difficult situations that you faced and how did you overcome it?
I don't know. I mean, I was just living life, man. I don't know. I was just living, whatever challenge came, it was just specific to that, right? I mean, for example, in my master's, what would be a challenge is definitely, I mean, you had a bunch of teachers who were really, really amazing, out of the world, and then there were teachers who were not so good for whatever reason, right? I mean, I don't want to dwell into that, but it's very difficult to deal with such people. And then how do you deal with them? Because you're paying money to, and you're investing your time, and you definitely expect certain sort of return. And if somebody is not respecting that, then you obviously get angry, right? You get disappointed. But then what do? Do you fight the system? Yes, you can try. I tried. Was I successful? Yes, partially. But what else do you do? I mean, should I waste all of my time fighting the system? No, there are so many things. I mean, in today's time, I cannot make an excuse that I cannot learn this particular thing because I lack resources. Everything is available out there on internet. I mean, right now, data science education and software engineering education is so democratized, right? Everybody has access to it. So nobody really has a right to complain there. I mean, yes, obviously you will complain that, I came to this place so that I am, taught that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, these kind of challenges were there as a student. Obviously, another challenge was I was very ambitious with projects, as I
Yes.
mentioned, right? But you have a team. How do you convince your team members? Right? Because they are like, "Ah, we just want to get done with it. We
Yes.
don't care about marks." I never cared about marks. If thank God I never cared about marks. If I had cared about marks, I would be doing something which everybody else was doing, like standard projects, which I for sure know that I give me marks and stuff like that. But it really, I mean, what it takes a little bit of convincing, getting your teammates also excited about what you want to do, why you want to do that, and why it is better to do. So these were the basic kind of challenges then there. And fortunately, I mean, for jobs, I mean, so far in my life, I had touchwood, I never had to interview so much. I mean, first one or two things which I interviewed for and I wanted, I got. And I never regretted that. I could have done that better or this better, because every place has something to offer.
Mhm.
And generally, in fact, in my experience, I tend to like the places where it is still things are at very nascent stages, right?
Okay.
Where they are just beginning, right? Because there is a lot of responsibility that you can get there, right? And then you can improve yourself a lot. You can, I mean, problem solving is something that really excites me. So I am rather more of a person who gets excited by the kind of problem you present me. It does not matter whether the organization has a fancy name like Google or Amazon, right? So rather than in being Google or Amazon and a small cog in a bigger part of machinery following certain process where I'm not allowed to think. I'm not saying this is what everybody does in Google. I mean, there are amazing work going on there, but I know I will not be able to, get there at least with my current skills. But the idea is I like where I get to
Mhm.
do more of problem solving, do more of take more of responsibility on that side. And yeah, I mean, I didn't have any struggle as such. I mean, these are like everyday challenges that you have.
So, and the next question is so now let's head forward. So, where do you see yourself after 5 years, and how are you planning your next 5 years?
Where do I see myself? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I have not thought about like I want to be there in 5 years or 3 years or whatever, right? But definitely, I know there are few areas where I want to upskill. So I want to do that upskilling in coming years, and I'll be very glad if I'm able to do that, right? And other thing is, I want to transition into more leadership of data science roles, because there is a lot of problem solving involved there, right? I mean, well, right now also I do that a little bit.
Mhm.
I just want that to be full-fledged thing, right? And masters in management analytics also prepares you to take leadership positions in
Mhm.
future, right? And this is what I want to do. And that is on professional front. In personal front, I just want to be a better person, right? I mean, I
Yes.
want to be happier. I want to live more fulfilled life. Yeah, I mean, these are all desires that everybody has.
Yes. And one last
Right.
question for the day that you told reading books is important and going through a genuine resource is very important. Would you like to give some or suggest few books for us? These
Oh
books
yeah,
would be helpful.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. If you talk about machine learning, again, right now it depends what is your focus. So the kind of data science that we do after this program in Masters in Big Data Analytics, we do applied data science. We are not going there to do research. So in applied data science, what does it mean? It means things already exist. Okay, you go and apply it to a specific problem. So you don't want to learn a lot of, some mathematics is necessary, but not all mathematics is necessary. I don't want you to learn, or know about certain. I don't want you to derive me logistic regression or anything like that. Till the time you understand what it does, why it does that, a little bit of formulation of that. So that kind of mathematics is enough at this stage when you are just applying, because you're not writing your algorithms from scratch. You're going to use scikit-learn. So that is being written and optimized for you. So, and why would you not make use of that, right, when it is there? And if you can do better than that, please go ahead. But that is usually not the case. So it is. So first thing is focus what I want, right? What advice I'm giving here right now is about applied data science. I'm not talking about anything else, although I can also talk about that, but most useful would be right now, for example, learning machine learning. So there's an author called Sebastian Rushka. He is a professor at very good stats department, and he has his book called Python Machine Learning. And he has his book called Python Machine Learning. And the new version of the book talks about machine learning in Python and PyTorch. So it's a very, very good resource. You can read that. There's another book on beginner machine learning called Hands-on Machine Learning. Use it, Scikit-learn and TensorFlow. That's a very good book. In fact, it is easier to follow, a simple book. If you want to, I mean, although nobody's using R, but there is a book called Introduction to Statistical Learning with R. Amazing, amazing book, amazing of a resource. A little bit difficult than these two books, but an amazing resource. Then there is Coursera course from Andrew NG, Machine Learning Specialization. So that is a very good resource. There is University of Waterloo lectures for machine learning. That is a very good resource. There is Microsoft GitHub account for machine learning and data science. It's a very good resource. There's Google crash course in machine learning. That is a very good resource. So that is about machine learning, and I think that is the first and foremost thing that you guys should sort of make your strong foundations in. But then there are many other things like less linear algebra and learning Python or whatever you are interested in for the resources.
Understood.
So statistics, yeah, whatever you would like.
So thank you so much